Neck Nation, thanks for joining us. I'm Kit James.
Austin Davis.
This is NECKROOTS, the NECKROOTS Ranch, getting ready for another podcast, and it's an exciting one because it's the new year.
It is the new year, Kit, and I know we have mentioned this on a last episode or something like that, but this is like really our year anniversary of doing the podcast. We've been doing this for almost exactly a year, right? And so I think we're, I don't know, maybe 56 episodes in or something like that, but kind of cool. And kind of want to bring it back, since it is the new year, to bring it back to, that first episode that we did about, being a little better every day than you are, being better tomorrow than you are today, and remembering your roots and getting these things back, and it being the new year, right? It's never, you don't ever have to wait for the new year to improve yourself, but it just seems like this is the time that everybody sets the goals, right? So, I just want to bring that back and talk about what our goals are, I think.
Absolutely.
Sure.
I think, goals are so important. I think it's so easy to set goals at the end of the year or at the beginning of anything. You start a new job, you always start out with a new plate, right? You're new, you haven't, got in and maybe screwed up or whatever, or you haven't got stuck in a rut. And I think change is good because, and that's what a new year represents, and we talked about on a previous podcast, the seasons, and I don't know if we mentioned this or not, but I was thinking about it. Fall is such a unique time because that's when old things are gone, right? When the leaves fall off and you make room for new beginnings and new things and new growth. Yeah. Right. And I think it's, and that's spring. That's what spring represents. Whether you believe it or not, you see it. Yeah. When you see spring and the flowers and the things, they had to let something go, right? Yeah. To grab onto something new and that new growth and make room for it. And so I think the beginning of a new year for everybody, regardless, is a time, whether you sit down and scribble out your goals or not, it's just a time of new beginning. It's a new year. It's a physicality. It's a new physical year, right? Yeah. I love that. And I love this analogy with spring, Kit, because,
it's not that things just change in the spring. It's that things changed ahead of time and you see the fruits of it in the spring, right? And that's the deal with us. That's why, in the new year, in January, we've made plans. We start committing to those plans. We have the willpower, and I think that's one thing that I want to talk about today that I'm planning on improving. But, and then you see that through, and then a couple months later, you see the fruits of your labor, right? You start to see those changes visually. Maybe you see them sooner, maybe you don't, right? But sometimes it just takes time. I think we need to get used to that and understand that changes don't happen overnight. Right? We've talked about this, one bite at a time, one step at a time, one day at a time, right? And then you'll see these changes over time. Yeah. So, I love that analogy.
And if you've made changes in this previous year that are good changes that you want to hold on to, of course, you build on those, right? And I think sometimes when we feel like it's the end of a year, sometimes it's always a new beginning, but it's the end of, packing a load or something, right? The end to everybody, I think, means the end. And I'm just crazy about like the word goal. I'll rename it the do.
The do,
do.
Our dues.
Desired outcome, but it's do. It's a physical thing that your brain registers as you're going to do it. Yeah. A goal almost seems like something you set and throw a dart at, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Because something that gets written down on a piece of paper. Yeah. Not actually something to execute. Yeah.
And so it's good to just use your own analogy, like however you remember stuff when you're in school or at work. How am I going to remember this? I do weird things to remember stuff. Yeah. And so when we come to the end of last year, right, we're in a new beginning. You can call it whatever you want, but end means effort never dies, right? That's what it means.
I like that.
Don't let the effort that you put in to the previous year die with that year. Let it carry over. Effort never dies, right? Yep. So just little stupid things like that help me to remember, hey, let me take the good out of this and use it in the new year. Yeah. So,
and speaking of effort never dies, right? And the things that we did last year, there were some things on my list and things that I wanted to accomplish. One of them was to get healthier, right? I think 90% of the people who do New Year's resolutions put on there they want to be healthier, they want to lose weight or something like that, right? But, I got healthier last year, but I didn't get to where I wanted to be. So this is something that's going to carry over into this year. And I just need to have the willpower, right? It needs to be, instead of a goal, it needs to be a do.
Right.
It needs to be a desired outcome, right?
Yeah.
And I just need to make it happen. So, and I've got, we talk about why do we do these things, or what is it that's going to get you to accomplish your goal or motivate you? And we had that episode on finding your why,
Yeah.
right? And here's a perfect time, Neck Nation,
To find your
to
why.
find your
Yeah.
why, to hone in on that, focus on that, and then decide what your desired outcomes are for 2024
Yep.
and what you're going to carry over from 2023, and then have the drive and motivation to just hit the ground running, right? Or keep going.
That's good. We did talk about that in 2023, and you know what? Finding your why is so important to setting your dues.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
You got to know what your why is tomorrow when you get up. You know what I mean? Otherwise, why get up?
Exactly. The other thing that came to my mind is in our very first episode, we talked about, we gave an introduction to neck roots and, getting back to your roots. But we also talked about shedding our shame,
Yeah.
right? And I think this is probably true for everybody, Kit, that maybe there's some things that happened this year that you're not proud of, right? Neck Nation, none of us are perfect. None of us are perfect. Just going to state that again. But maybe there's some things that you're not proud of, or some things that happened that maybe you wish you would have handled a little differently, and maybe you're carrying some guilt or maybe something like that. Now is the time, right? Get rid of it.
Yeah.
Shed the shame. Don't let it hold you back from accomplishing what you need to or what you'd like to in the next year, right?
Yep.
Because if there's one thing that shame does, is it undermines your ability to progress.
Yeah.
Right. And if we're having this conversation and it's that time of year where we talk about all the progress we are going to make,
Yeah.
right? The last thing that needs to be on your mind is shame from something that took place in the last 12 months that you're not particularly proud of.
Past failure, shame, regret, whatever it is,
Yeah.
right? Doubt,
Yeah.
anything that's negative,
Yeah.
it comes from an outside source that's dark, man.
Yeah. For
Right?
sure.
And you have to identify it.
Yeah.
And again, if you want to, adapt something, when people go through programs to learn how to stop drinking or whatever, they'll make their own acronyms with STOP, STOP, right? And
Sure.
and they'll figure out what their triggers are, and failure or some of those past regrets, you can rename failure. It's first attempt in learning, right? FAIL, first attempt is learning, right?
Yeah.
Anytime you attempt something and you fail, which is generally what's going to happen in the first, as we learn something new,
Yeah.
just know that that's your first attempt in learning.
Yeah,
right?
or if you're overcoming demons, right? I read
Right.
something just the other day that said something along the lines of, none of us are perfect. We can't expect perfection from ourselves. So if we're working to overcome demons, whatever they may be, right? Because we've all got them, and you slip and fall or whatever it is, or relapse, whatever it is, right? You can't expect perfection from yourself, and I think that follows right in line with what you're saying. This acronym for FAIL, right?
First attempt is learning, and you know what? Sometimes the second attempt is learning.
Yeah, sure.
It's never the first, but it's the first time that you're going to go all the way through the process until you get it fixed, right?
Yeah.
Whatever it is. And so I heard something too the other day, and I know we've talked about this in 2023, and that is be cautious and careful about the way we talk to ourselves, because our brain and our neurons do not know the difference between fact and fiction.
Yeah.
When we say it to ourselves, it's a program, period, end of story, and it's programming. Even if we're being harsh on ourselves, it's programming. It doesn't know the difference.
Right.
And if it doesn't know the difference, I mean, you can straight say, hey, I'm Captain America, and guess what, bro? You're going to grow a cape. You know what I mean?
No kidding,
But,
right?
I mean,
I could use that.
obviously not maybe grow a cape, but you know what I'm saying? It doesn't know the difference, and I think that's kind of a cool thing. Shows you the power that we have between our ears, but it also shows you how powerful or how negative and conflicting that could be, right?
Yeah.
Based on how we talk to ourselves. And so when we do fail, rename it. You know, call it whatever you want, right? It could be experience, it could be whatever, right?
Yeah.
But it has to be something positive, because it needs to be a stepping stone to build the mansion that we're working on, right?
Yep, for sure. That Kit, that just brings something to, I wasn't planning on talking about this. In fact, it hadn't even crossed my mind. But, you just kind of inspired me to bring this up. So we've talked about I'm gonna start racing next year.
Yeah.
Right. And I have a massive problem up here. Racing is 30% physical and 70% mental. Whatever
Right.
you tell yourself in your head, that's likely what's going to happen. And I had the suspension redone on my bike, and I've been working for a couple weeks on the bike to try and get this thing to a point kind of where I had my expectation, right? We talked about expectations last week, but I had in my head how I wanted the bike to handle and behave in certain situations, and I haven't got there yet. And so I called up my suspension guy, and we talked through a few things that I could do. And he says, "You know what, Austin?" He says, "I've talked to you 3 times, and I want to tell you something about yourself." And I says, "Okay, what's that?" And he goes, "You're a thinker, right? Everything you do, you're thinking through it, and that's been a detriment to you." He says, "I'm going to guess some things about you right now, and I bet you they're right." And he says, "You've won a few races in your day." I said, "Yep, I've won a few races." And he goes, "And in those races, your bike handled perfectly." I said, "Yep, it did." And he says, "And then you rode that same bike a week later, and it handled like a piece of garbage." I said, yeah, that's happened." And he goes, "Nothing changed with the bike. It's you, right? It's in
Smart. Smart.
Yeah, it's your head.
Yeah.
It's getting in your head, and you're not having fun, right? If you're not having fun doing this, then why are you doing it, right? Because, racing dirt bikes has the potential to, put some stress on the relationship and everything if you don't get the family involved in it.
Right.
And we're working to get the family involved in it. But, he talked to me for about 50 minutes about this whole idea of I overthink things and I just need to simplify it. And that's the same. That's a great message for everybody,
It
right?
is, yeah.
I mean, we talk about making these changes, right? And becoming better and, having confidence and having patience and finding your why and, shedding
Yep.
your shame. We talk about and you could, if you're me, you could think about them all day long, right? And think and find reasons as to why they don't work or, overanalyze something.
Yep.
And we can do that with our own lives. So I think a good point here is kind of go with the flow, right?
Yeah.
Don't overthink it.
Yep.
Make a decision and then go with it, right? Don't dwell on it. Don't let it eat you. Don't talk yourself out of it,
Yeah.
right?
And I think one of the key things that you just said too that he told you was have fun. And I think that's what life is supposed to be, not the idea of I don't have to work and I can do whatever I want type of fun.
Right,
But
yeah.
But fun, meaning you got to find the joy in it, and especially if it's racing, even if that was your career, you still got to find fun in it, right?
Yeah.
Because if you think about how you are when you're having fun, you're totally relaxed, you're in your element, right?
That's it.
You're not nervous or worried about this or this. When you're having fun, there's just a consistency and you're mellow, right?
Yeah.
And you're in your happy place. And so, I mean, if you could go there in your mind while you're racing, it's be like everything would slow down and you would speed up.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And the races where I've had, the ones that I think about where they were just absolutely epic rides, that's what was going on.
Yeah.
I was just having fun on my dirt bike. I
Yep.
wasn't worried about the guy in front of me or the guy behind me or, whatever expectation. I didn't have any expectation on myself. I just
Right.
go out, ride, and have fun, and did way better than if I'd gone into it with, some kind of, I don't want to knock on desired outcome, but, sometimes we put too much pressure on
Yeah.
ourselves to perform, and that prevents us from performing.
And
It
you know-
does.
And you know what? That pressure we put on ourselves in any situation is learned. Because look at anyone new, like a new salesman or a new whatever. Bro, they always perform right out of the gate. People call it beginner's luck. No, they don't know any better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
When the gate drops and it's your first race and you're excited because you want to race, you might be last or whatever, but you don't feel like that. You feel like you're just happy to be there, man. And
Yeah.
and you perform well, right?
Yeah.
And it's as the time goes by, expectations start to click, right?
Yeah.
And outside influences or influences on yourself or whatever. Hey, I got to level up or I got to do this or I got to do that better. Whatever. We start this pattern of learning what perfection is or what the next step is. And then you put that pressure on yourself. No one even has to do it for you, right?
Yep.
And all of a sudden sucks the fun out of it. It becomes a routine. And then all of a sudden it becomes mundane. And then it's something you have to do and you're not excited about it. Remember when the new guy was excited and he came in with a good attitude and a fresh
man.
set of eyes and
Yeah.
was all charged up. And you're like, hey, Peter, positive. calm down.
Yeah,
right?
let me corrupt you for just a second.
Exactly. So I think it's, there's a lot of similarities in that. And if whatever we're doing, man, if we can just relax and have fun, guess what? Our performance would be better, and we'd be better people to be around, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you'd accomplish more,
Yeah.
right? I love this whole idea of having fun. And like you said, it's not unicorns and rainbows, right?
No.
It doesn't mean that the hard times are going away. It doesn't mean that the demons are going away. But if you could find a way, I think there was a religious leader or something somewhere said, find joy in the journey, right? We're all working towards the destination. Absolutely. In fact, my wife told me this. She's like, you watch shows, like TV shows. We'll get hooked on a show like a Yellowstone or something like that. She goes, you burn through those things so fast. And I says, well, I just want to know what happens at the end. I'm just trying to find out how it ends. And she goes, you blow through it so fast that you don't enjoy what happened in the middle. And she's right. And that find joy in the journey is our lives, right?
Yeah.
They're up and down. Life's up and down, demons up and down, whatever. Just find a way to find joy somewhere in there. Put it, twist it, spin it, whatever you got to do, right? Joe Dirt, life's a garden. Dig it, make it work for you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
dude, I've had the kids up 4 a.m. and going to work and doing the most grueling, not so fun job in the world, right?
Yeah.
While their friends are on summer break playing or whatever. And we found ways to make it fun. And honestly, the kids loved going to work, man. They missed it. And so when they had to go back to school, but maybe they just didn't like school. I don't know. But there's so many ways to make it fun, and it's just a change in attitude. And what you said about the middle is, what's interesting is everyone wants to figure out how to go from A to Z, no matter what you're doing. If you're racing, you want to figure out how to become perfect faster, right? Yeah. How do I get to Z quicker? And experience isn't fast tracked.
No.
It's just not, right? And that failure and that learning. So everyone's trying to figure out, how do I get from A to Z, whether it's financially, physically, whatever, like the easiest, fastest way from A to Z. And we all try to skip that for whatever reason, even if it's to find out what happens in the end, right? Because I do the same thing, but that's where all the juice is, man. It's where all the learning is. That's where all the growth is between A and Z.
Yeah, that's where the hard work is.
Yeah.
And that's what makes Z so much better.
Yeah.
Right? It makes you appreciate getting to the end.
If you went from A to Z and skipped all that, you didn't grow, man. So what good Z?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a sideways in.
Yep, exactly.
So,
well, I don't know. Maybe we keep the message a little short today.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of power in a short message, and I know it's a new year, so maybe, don't have as much time to sit down and listen as you normally do, but...
Yeah, and you know what? Take this new year for real, and if you hear... I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's failure. I don't care if it's end. I don't care if it's no. I mean, I've got so many different acronyms for no. Next opportunity is one of them. And being I say I'm dyslexic, and no means on. Let's get it on. Let's go, or whatever. I don't take no for an answer. No means next opportunity. You're dead. Move out of the way. Well, let's go. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just program.
Yeah.
Program that positivity in 2024 and send it.
Yeah.
And have confidence in yourself, because you're worth it.
Yeah. And if you do come up with some desired outcomes, Neck Nation, be careful who you share them with.
Yeah,
right? Maybe keep them a little closer to the vest this year. Don't share them with the people who are going to be critical of you, right? Who are just going to take every opportunity to undermine your ability to be successful, right?
Yep.
Say, maybe you want to start a business this year or do something like that. Somebody's going to be like, well, you need to be a little more realistic. It's like, the reality is I shouldn't have told you what I'm doing, right? That's the reality. So, come up with these goals, come up with these desired outcomes, and then, evaluate really who you should be sharing them with. And that's the people who are going to be in your corner and help elevate you. So,
and you know what? It's, you're absolutely right. We're thinking about making some change because our kids have moved out, and, you'll tell some people and they'll be like, why would you want to do that? Why would you want to do that? And I think people feel like at my age, I'm in my 50s, bro. I'm hitting 50. And you don't hear about people reinventing themselves.
No.
At 50. But you know what? I'm going to reinvent myself until I'm freaking 75 or 80. You know what I mean?
Doesn't mean it can't be done.
No. Change don't stop. This world, this opportunity to be on earth is about growth, and I'm going to do it every day.
Yeah.
And I don't care if you like it, leave it, love it, shove it. You can stuff it, dude. I'm going to send it. You know what I mean?
Make it happen.
Exactly. So I ain't living for nobody else, bro.
Yeah. Good. So, well, good. That's the message that we'll leave you with today, Neck Nation. Make sure you don't overthink things.
No.
Don't give power to the what ifs, right? Just set your desired outcomes. Make sure you know who you're sharing them with that are going to lift you up, and don't take no for an answer.
No.
I like that, Kit.
They said on.
Did
Did you just say on? Is it on?
Said on. It's on, man. Awesome.
Okay.
Well, we'll leave you with that message, Neck Nation. Be sure to check us out on social media, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. We got some stuff on there. Like and share the video, right? The more you like the video, the higher in the algorithms we get, and we got to have you share this stuff, man. We got to get this message out to more people. So if you could share that, we'd appreciate it.
And you know what? If you share our message, honestly, DM us. You know what I mean? We want to share your message too.
Yeah. Shoot us a message.
Yeah,
we'd love to know who's listening.
We want to share your message.
Yeah.
Some of the stories, and you said this early on, are the stories. Some of the best stories are stories that have never been told.
Yeah.
We don't want to just tell our stories and stories that we're here. We want to tell your story. So bring it.
Yeah. Send it over to us. We'd love to chat with you. So, all right. Well, bless up, Neck Nation, and Happy New Year.
Bless up. Happy New Year.